Hey guys, before we jump into this episode, I want to tell you about this killer place I found called Frost and Float. So a while back, I busted up my shoulder. It was hurting so bad. I had all kinds of crazy inflammation. So I look into some cryotherapy, and this thing's pretty legit. I go into Frost and Float, totally takes the inflammation down. It's like some next level icing. It helps so much. I went in for, I think, a total of 3 sessions. I have full mobility back in my shoulder. I'm out surfing again. I'm back to my training. This is pretty rad. I'm so stoked on Frost and Float, and they're going to hook you up. If you give them a call, check them out on their website too. It's frostandfloat.com. You give them a call and they're going to hook you up. You let them know the Lazy Teacher sent you. You purchase a 60-minute float session, and they're going to throw in for free a whole body cryo session. That's a $65 value right there. I mean, they're straight hooking you up just for listening to the show. Check them out. It's frostandfloat.com. This place is rad.
This is Lazy Teacher Podcast.
Welcome back to the Lazy Teacher Podcast. My name is Brian Pulowski. This is episode 24, Teachers Pay Teachers. My guest today is Megan Daley. She's an account management specialist for Teachers Pay Teachers. We often refer to it as TPT. And if you're not familiar with it, where have you been? Go check out teacherspayteachers.com and enjoy all the resources available. My guest, Megan Daley. Okay, so question. Do you work for Teachers Pay Teachers, or do you work at a school specifically?
Yes, I work for Teachers Pay Teachers. So I am an account manager. So that means that I work with administrators across the country to get TPT for schools up and running in their school.
I just heard about that. So what TPT for schools, right? Is that like a new product or just like something that's being advertised, or how does that work?
Yeah. So it's a new product. It's kind of an extension of the TPT that we know and love. So it's basically a way for schools and administrators to set up an account and collaborate with their teachers on resources that they'd like to use to fill gaps in their school. So for example, let's say that I am a principal and I would like to collaborate on resources on TPT with my teachers. I might set up a free TPT for schools account, which basically is like a parent account. And then I would be able to invite my teachers who would then request resources and kind of share how they're hoping to use those resources in their classrooms.
Okay, so would a principal like almost manage this account? You said it's free, so is it just free to set up or?
Yep, it's free to register.
Okay.
So the principal would set up the account and then pay for the resources as they are requested, or choose not to pay too. So it's a great way to, collaborate on what we're going to use in the classroom and what we may not as well.
Oh, I see. That's actually kind of cool. So the principal almost ultimately has control over what the teachers can see and then says, oh yeah, that's an awesome resource. I'm going to buy that for the grade level kind of thing, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Does that take the financial off the teacher so much and it's like putting it on the principal, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually something that I love so much about TPT is how much we care about teachers. And we kept hearing these stories that they were spending so much money out of pocket on resources on TPT and they love it, but at the end of the day, it can be a financial burden for teachers. So we wanted to get administrators involved in kind of that conversation to help cover some of that cost.
So as teachers, like let's say a principal has an account and goes, oh yeah, here, just go ahead and use my account. Well, teachers would be able to purchase just directly off that without the approval of the principal, correct?
Right, exactly. So this is a little bit more of a funnel. And there's like a communication piece. So like a teacher can send a message on how he or she is thinking about using this resource and why it's great. And then the administrator can kind of take a look at it without necessarily purchasing it or giving free reign to the teachers.
That's pretty cool. It's almost similar to print shop or whatever. That's what we call it in our district. So if I want to get 200 copies of this worksheet, I have to funnel it through the principal to get it approved before it goes into the print shop. So it's almost similar to that, right?
Yeah, it is very similar. So this is just like a more streamlined way of, managing those requests. We were hearing some stories from administrators who are our early adopters, and they were saying that teachers would text them, email them, chase them down the hall to, request these resources on TPT. So they were kind of using TPT in a hacky way without the, more streamlined product. And it just became such a burden. So they love that this is so streamlined for them and just really easy to use.
That's pretty rad. So how would a principal is it a principal only, or just really any administration can set this up, right?
Yeah, it's really anyone who is in charge of making any type of curricular decisions and can kind of sign off on that end. And so, the way that they could go about doing it is just go to teacherspayteachers.com, and there is a button in the upper right that says schools. So there's a lot of information there. And for teachers as well, if they're thinking about bringing this to their principals or administrators in their school, there's a whole section for teachers as well. And you can actually even send a little email to your principal with all the important links and say, hey, check this out. So it's a really great way to bring that to your school.
You're saying that it's right on the front page, right? Teachers Pay Teachers?
Yep, it should be right in the upper right. It should say schools, and there's a whole landing page with some videos and information there. And there's a button that says for teachers there. So, you can use that link to collaborate with your administrator and, maybe talk about it in your next staff meeting or PLC meeting.
Okay, so I'm seeing that right here. Yeah, you can register my school and set this up for everybody. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And right when they get set up, an administrator or a school will gain access to an account manager. And so, an account manager will reach out saying, hey, we're so excited to have you on TPT for schools. I'd love to set up a kickoff call. So they really get this kind of white glove service to learn how it works in their school. We want to make sure that teachers are requesting these materials. And, it's just best to say, this is what I expect when you put in a request, that kind of thing, thinking about budget, all those questions that go into rolling out a new program are areas that an account manager can help you out.
Okay. So so how many schools would you have underneath you or that you would handle?
So right now we have about 2,000 schools on Teachers Pay Teachers for Schools. So, and it's only been around for like less than a year. We're in 50 countries as well, across the United States as well. So we're super excited about how many schools we're in. Right now we have about 5 account managers. So we kind of split up by territory.
Wow. So there's 5 account managers for every school that possibly signs up for this right now? Oh my gosh.
So we're a growing team for sure, but we're at the beginning stages of, learning how to get the word out for sure.
Oh my gosh, Megan, you must be so busy. So how many schools do you personally have, or do you even know?
It's about like 400 to 500 right now.
Okay, 400 to 500. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
This is all starting to catch on now. Okay, now I'm starting to get this. So that's kind of neat. It's really similar to a personal account. It's basically just managed, right, by the principal, and purchasing comes from the school rather than out of pocket for a teacher.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. There's really just this gap between, what a teacher would like to purchase and what she can afford. And so we're hoping to really bridge that gap.
Let's say my school has this. I'd still want a personal account, right, for myself, just in case the principal doesn't want to buy it or I want to access free material, correct?
Yeah, great question, Brian. Actually, there's no need to set up a separate account for your school if you're a teacher. You can simply just link your account to the, parent school account, and you'll be able to still do everything that you want on Teachers Pay Teachers. So you could still purchase on your own if you like. Just with the additional feature, you kind of have this additional collaboration piece where you can send requests to your school, see what other teachers are requesting, and see kind of what's available in the school library.
You're recommending keep it tied into the school? Like I have an account right now. You're saying I could just link it to the school if the school does this?
Yep. So you would need to receive an invite from your administrator who would set up TPT for schools. So once they set it up, we encourage them to invite their whole staff. So then you would get a link, Brian, to link your personal account to the school. And what that means is all you're doing is allowing yourself to kind of send requests to the school and gain access to see what other teachers are requesting, kind of what's in the school library and that sort of thing. But, the school isn't going to be able to see any of your past purchases or anything like that. It's just simply a way to kind of connect and collaborate with your school.
That's exactly my next question, Megan. I was going to ask, does the school see my past purchases? So they do not?
No, they do not.
What about future purchases?
If you request them from the school, they would obviously be able to see that. But if you purchase something on your own, still, the school wouldn't be able to see.
Okay, I see. So the access to the school from my personal account would only be if I'm requesting permission for the school to make the purchase. Then they would be able to see it. I see. Okay, so there's no need for separate accounts.
No, not really.
This is kind of easy. It's essentially just like a big umbrella account that the school has, and then teachers can request purchases through this umbrella account type of thing. And the principal monitors it, can get feedback and go, oh yeah, okay, I understand this is why you want it. This is how you're going to use this resource. And then they can decide whether they want to make the purchase.
We try to make it as easy as possible. And we're continually gaining feedback. We're pretty happy with how easy it is to use right now.
Yeah. How long has it been out?
It's only been a few months, but we started with our beta version a little less than a year ago.
My goodness. And you already have thousands, you said, of schools that have signed up for this?
Yep, over 2,000.
How are you advertising this? How would anyone even know to do this?
Yeah, so right now it's really just on the Teachers Pay Teachers site.
Okay.
We are doing some marketing through, Facebook and Instagram and those kind of portals. We've attended a couple of conferences as well, but, we wanted to make sure that the product was perfect before we did a really large outreach. Last week, we were at a San Diego conference in California. We were able to just have a booth and kind of talk about TPT for schools. We got a bunch of administrators to sign up, so we had a really good time sharing more about TPT for schools.
Hey guys, it's Ryan from Classroom Brew. If you like what you're hearing right now on this podcast and you want to check out another great comedy and education podcast, then head over to Classroom Brew. Our format is a bunch of teachers that sit down, have a couple of beers, and have a real conversation about what's happening in education, in teaching, in the classroom. It can range anywhere from funny stories and uplifting moments to some very real and sometimes frustrating things that happen. Whether you teach in an urban setting or a suburban setting, a public or a private school, you're a parent, or just somebody that has an interest in education and a look behind the curtain, there's always something that you can relate to or something that you might be able to learn from someone else's experiences in the classroom or their career. If you want to check out Classroom Brew, we're featured on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, Google Music, and any other place that you can find your favorite podcasts. If you want to contact us, you can reach us at Classroom Brew on your favorite social media, classroombrew@gmail.com, or on facebook.com/Classroom Brew. We hope you listen in. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, class dismissed.
Now, are you familiar with the flip side of it? Teachers that are actually selling items to make money? I mean, I know most people are selling to make money, but they do offer free stuff. Are there some teachers that are actually making some serious money on TPT?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. When we get people asking us how to become a teacher author and kind of get on the site that way, we usually ask them to think about what their niche is, what other teachers are asking them for and things like that. There's a variety of, obviously, resources. There are 3 million resources on the site, actually. There's always something for every person out there. But yeah, there's a variety of, some teachers earn enough money to, compensate for their coffee money. Others make a lot more. So it's been really exciting to get to know kind of that side as well.
I thought I saw a list of 5 people that were making over $250,000. Does that sound right, or am I just making this up?
There are some authors who have made a lot of money. I don't know how many exactly have made the top tier.
It's pretty neat because I don't know too many teachers that are authors. Most of the teachers that I know are just like me. We just access resources when we need them.
Yeah.
Did you start in the classroom or?
I did. I taught in a kindergarten classroom, 2nd grade and 5th grade classrooms. And I actually didn't know about TPT when I started teaching. So I heard about TPT from a colleague of mine, and when I went online, I was just so taken aback at how much was at my fingertips, really. And sometimes I just really needed something in a pinch. And so it was really nice to be able to just go on the site and find something that would be super engaging, teacher tested and tried, and really just met the need that I was trying to fill.
Yeah, that's kind of like a motto that goes around at least my campus is a lot of teachers are just saying, check TPT. There's no reason to recreate the wheel on this. Like, whatever. If you're looking for like subitizing for math, like just look it up. Like you don't have to spend hours recreating it when someone's already done it for you. And often the amount of money you'd have to spend to get that resource isn't a whole lot, and it's way worth your time. You're like, well, I could spend 2 hours making it look perfect, or I could spend $5 and have this right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the exact ideology of our founder, Paul Edelman. He was a New York City public school teacher. And back in 2006, TPT was kind of his brainchild. But when he was teaching, he was just like, I feel like I'm turning to my colleagues for areas that I don't feel like I'm the total expert in. And it would just be such a great tool to have if I could gain the expertise of thousands of teachers, millions. So that's kind of how TPT came about.
How long ago did TPT start?
It's been a little over 11 years. It was back in 2006 when it was founded.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then I came around a lot later than that. I had no idea about it until probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I know. Well, I don't know if it's just being a male teacher that I didn't notice it or not, but I just don't have the super decorative classroom that most classrooms have. And that seems to be a huge resource that I see on TPT is they get just like all the decorative items for their classroom. Like, oh, we're going to work on whatever, this thematic unit. And they go and find like the cutest things on there. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've gained popularity over the years, for sure. Now we have, I think I said like 2 out of 3 teachers in the US are active users on the site. So it's a broad range of teachers. So we're really excited.
Holy cow, that's a huge statistic. 2 out of 3 teachers?
And then 5 million worldwide, in other countries. So.
Wow. So how long were you in the classroom? I mean, obviously you're not in the classroom now. So how long were you in?
Right. I was in the classroom for about a year. My kids at least were really eager to learn. And, they were just really engaged with a lot of, I could find things in their own lives that they were really interested in. And they would just really grasp onto it. And of course, they're just so cute. They cling on to you and that sort of thing. So I loved second grade.
Now, were you teaching in New York?
It was actually in Boston, Boston Public Schools.
Is second grade a testing grade in Massachusetts?
It was actually a religious school that I was at. So yeah, my previous teaching was in kindergarten and 5th grade. It was Boston Public, but then my second grade experience was a religious school. So.
Oh, I gotcha. And 5th grade obviously is a testing year, but kindergarten is not.
I think it started in 3rd grade when I was in the second grade classroom.
Yeah, so. That's how it is for us. K2 doesn't test, and then it goes 3rd through, all the way through high schools is a testing grade.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So I was lucky I didn't have to feel like I was, teaching to the test in that case, but I know that a lot of my colleagues kind of felt like they, needed to fill those gaps and teach for the test at the end of the year.
The test prep is a tricky thing. You feel like you're almost teaching to the test when you're not necessarily teaching to the test. You just really want the best outcome. And how long have you been with TPT?
It's just been a little over a year now.
Oh, okay. So you were in Massachusetts. Yeah. You had to move all the way to New York then, right? It looks like that's where you're out of.
Yep. Now we're in New York City. So I've really loved working at TPT. It's really fun to work with a community of people that are really passionate about education and are really good at their job, are just like really smart and fun to work with. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my time here so far.
Okay. All right. Let me put you on the spot for maybe one last question. If you could change anything about schools, what would you change? It could be anything. It could be longer lunch. It could be no recess. It could be more pay for teachers. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of people typically go for more pay for teachers. I'm not saying that necessarily is the right answer. I've had someone say that they think that students need more access to playing outside so they can get like their physical needs more than just their academic needs while they're at school. If you could change one thing about schools, Megan, what are you going to do to make it all better?
I feel like this is a really great question, Brian, and there are a lot of answers that I could say. But I feel like teaching is a profession that is widely unappreciated, and I hate to say that, but I think that it's the truth. So if I could change anything about education, and this is one of the reasons why I moved to TPT, is I wish that we could provide teachers with the resources that they really need and really show them that they are so valued and really have the hardest job, I think, in the world. So that's, I think, what I would answer that question with.
I think that's a solid answer right there. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So run it by us one more time. So I'm a school. I want to sign up for TPT for schools. Is that what it's called?
Yep, TPT for schools. It's really easy and free to sign up. If you are an administrator, you can go to teacherspayteachers.com, and there's a little button that says schools in the upper right-hand corner. That's where an admin could go to register. If you're a teacher and you want to, begin the conversation with your administrator, you can also go there to send an email to your administrator and kind of start that conversation with all the important links and information that you need to get started.
Solid. Hey, I really appreciate your time today, Megan. You've been awesome. So is there a chance that if a school in the U.S. starts up, they'd have to be like in the South, you'd most likely be their account management specialist? Is that correct?
Yep, that's exactly right.
So your zone is the South, right? I have no hopes living in California of you being our account management specialist.
Well, I can tell you that Leanne, our account specialist for California, is wonderful. So I hope that your school does get signed up and you will be in great hands with her.
Solid. Well, I'm gonna push forward with this. I think it's pretty awesome. So have a great rest of the day, Megan. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian.
Right on. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Huge thanks to Megan Daley from Teachers Pay Teachers for taking the time to hang out today. As always, I appreciate you and all your support. Keep the emails coming. Brian at TheLazyTeacherPodcast.com. Did you know you can leave me a voicemail? 619-TEACH-51. Maybe I'll put you in a future episode just like this one.
I really enjoyed the sitting or standing episode, and yeah, I feel like you have a good voice. You were entertaining. It was short and simple, and I learned something. It's a great podcast, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for putting this out there.
Always great to hear from you. 619-TEACH-51. And you know what? Don't sleep on that killer deal from Frost & Float. You purchase a float and get a free full-body cryo. I love this place. Check them out. frostandfloat.com. You want to really help out the show? Spread the love. Tell your friends about it. We're anywhere you can access digital music. See, that's where podcasts are. They're where the digital music is. Same place. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Music, everywhere. Have a killer week. Hope you got what you came for. See ya!